Truth and Taxation agenda to order, please. Everyone, please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ashley, can I have a roll call, please?
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Alt. Here. Plot.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hidma.
Here.
Jurdy.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Okay, Jeff, I think we'll give the presentation of the Truth and Taxation information, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you go to the first slide, please? Yep. Mayor and Council, I have two budgets prepared, and I'm sure we will hear guidance from the residents in one direction or another. Slide, please. Just a brief overview. Those who've been here previously will recognize some of these. I'd like to start with some definitions of what things are so that we can all be on the same page. Describe the current conditions of the city financially as per our most recent audit, what that means for the city, how we got here, our goals, the goals for the current budget season, and then a recommendation. I have one recommendation at the end of the presentation. However, I do have two budgets available. One of them is at the full preliminary assessment of 4.486 million. The other is at a 22.2% assessment at 4.3. Next slide. What are fund balances? There are 5 categories of fund balances in municipal accounting. You've got non-spendable, and as the name implies, you can't spend these. These are balances. As an example, the city prepays our liability insurance. We usually get billed for that to December before the year. Our workers' comp, we get prepaid, or we prepay. That gets lined up as a non-spendable amount. We've already paid it, but it's not earned by the insurance company, as an example. But we do track it, and it does get accrued through the year. Restricted. These are funds that are legally required to be spent on a specific project or a specific purpose. The best example that we have here in Crookston is our flood control funds. We've got a little over about $3.4 million in the flood control. These are FEMA funds. The only thing we are legally allowed to spend it on is flood control. So these items, approximately 5.1 million of the total city assets fund reserve balance is in this category. It's restricted. There's a law that says we can only spend it in certain ways. The next item is committed funds. These are amounts which has been committed to a specific purpose, but it's not by law. It's by a formal action. Usually that formal action is going to be by a resolution of the city council or by a contract. An example of these would be matching funds for grants. If we have a $3 million grant that requires $1.5 million in match, this council would vote to commit that $1.5 million to match that grant. So it's a formal action by the council, so that it's a higher level than just saying we're setting it aside. The next level down is assigned. It's set aside. Now, the committed, it's set with a council action, it also needs to be uncommitted by a council action. The next line is assigned. It's set aside for a specific purpose, just like the previous items, but with less formal action. Usually these would be represented by the various reserve accounts that we have in our budget. It takes a little bit less action to reassign these. As an example, if the Parks and Rec Department has $100,000 for a roof and $50,000 for a pump in a reserve account, and We realize that we need to repair the roof, we've got and it comes to $125,000, we don't have enough money. Administratively, staff, I can move that $25,000 from that pump to the roof within those things. It's a little bit less restriction, a little bit less action required. Obviously, we would then notify the council that we move those funds around. The last is unassigned. These funds are unassigned, they're not committed to any specific purpose, and they're available for any legal government use. Every city, next slide please. So these are the fund details that we have for the city of Crookston as of our 2023 audit. Had $222,000 in non-spendable, $5.2 million in restricted, just shy of 1.7 in committed funds, 2.4 million in assigned, and 1.1 million in unassigned funds. The problem that we run across with this, next slide please. That 23 audit currently shows, it shows that we need $3.2 million in unassigned funds to meet our cash policy. That's a guideline set by the state auditor, it's between 30 and 50%. Our cash policy says we need 45% of our fund, of our operating budget in our unassigned fund balance. We do have 3.2 million, however, 1.9 million of that is in an IOU from our streets department. So when you do all of the math and you do the addition and subtraction and actual money, what we really have when you take that audit line all the way to the right is 1.14 million. 45% of our 25 operating budget is 3.6, not including parks. If you include parks, which should be part of our general fund, in most cities, it's not required to be, but in most it is, that would be 4.6. And our 2025 operating budget is 10.3 million. Next slide. We currently have that 1.2 million receivable from D. That's a reimbursement from some infrastructure projects that we did last year. This will bring our unassigned balance to 2.3. That's still 1.3 million below that 45% threshold. Holly, our finance director, I tasked her with combing through some of our assigned and committed balances, and we have found between $500,000 and $800,000 that we can free up to put to our unassigned balance. That's still not gonna be quite enough to get us where we're supposed to be. And what that would be used for emergencies, kind of like an overdraft. Next slide you'll see. It's kind of like unassigned, it can be thought of as overdraft protection. That's not money that you wanna spend. It's money that's there in case of an emergency or short-term needs. It's not a good policy to use these except for very unusual circumstances. Our current policy of 45% is based on the majority of our revenue for the city comes in 2 increments through the year. Your tax payments get paid to the city in 2 increments, May and November. So when those come into the city, that's the lion's share of what the city receives. Larger cities like Minneapolis will receive more funds on a more regular basis. They can have a lower threshold percentage-wise because they have more cash flowing in and out. Because we have primarily 2 solid revenue streams for the majority of our funds, 45% is close to that 50%, that's where that number comes from. So, next slide. What this means for the city. We can have the staff email you the slides, man. A low fund balance can make it difficult to handle unexpected expenditures or revenue shortfalls. Right now, we have about 1.14 million. We're expecting another 1.2 coming in from deed. And for all of us regular people, that sounds like a lot of money. If we had that much money in our bank, that would be a lot. Unfortunately, in city speak, many projects that we have can wipe out $1 million pretty quickly. Imagine 1997, the flood, imagine how much money went through. I would argue we probably went through more than $3 million that we have in that account. I don't know that, I've not done the research, but I would argue we probably, if we had another flood of that nature, that magnitude, we would go through 3 million really quick. So a city's tax rates are closely tied to fund balances. If you have a low fund balance, that means if your tax capacity, if your needs change, you have to adjust your tax rates to accommodate, because you don't have that cash reserve, you don't have that cushion to be able to absorb. And during COVID is a good example of that. Many cities found that they had to tap into their reserves in order to move through the COVID period until the federal government came in with some assistance. And many cities were struggling with that. So your tax rates then can fluctuate greatly. It also can lead, not necessarily because it's in totality, can lead to a poorer credit rating. Credit rating agency and investors, just like when you look at a mortgage, they wanna know what your bank account is. When we apply for a bond to do road work, to construct a building, investors, they look at municipalities, they wanna see, are you good stewards of your money? Do you maintain good fund balances? To have that lower fund balance is just like a mortgage. If you've got a low savings account, mortgage company's gonna assign a higher risk factor to you. The good news is in municipal bonds, that risk factor is a small percentage. It's not gonna be from 5 to 7%, it might be from 3.9 to 4.1 or 4.2. But when you start talking large road projects that can cost $5, $10, $20 million, those tenths of a percent start mattering. So again, it is not a good policy to use these funds except for unusual circumstances. Next slide. How we got here. Again, the city has had vacant key positions. We've had our finance director, HR coordinator, we've had an interim IT, we've recently filled all of those. We have a lack of experience and training. We've lost a lot of institutional knowledge because of probably 50% of our department heads been with the city for less than 2 years. We have a very talented group of people. We have a very skilled group of people, but it's that institutional knowledge. I don't see her in the audience, but Kathy is a former employee of the city, and I wanna reach out and give her kudos because she's been very helpful. She's been willing to come in and help the staff move forward, for those questions of, well, hey, we found this, what does this mean? Where did this come from? She's been able to provide us with those answers. In the past, these are my words, inappropriate priorities. For 40 years, the goal, not this council, the goal of previous councils has been keep the tax rates low. We don't wanna hear we don't wanna hear any complaining, we wanna keep our tax rates low. There's been no strategic planning, there's been no forward thinking of what is going to come up 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And spending without verifications of funds availability or full consideration of fund sourcing. What we've uncovered is through the course of 40 or 50 years, going back into the 80s, capital projects were funded directly out of cash reserves. We have a lot of money in the bank, let's spend that money on the bank, out of the bank. Well, we've been doing that, and that's how we kind of ended up with this low balance where we are. Next slide. This is the data, this goes back to 2010. This is the tax capacity. What the tax capacity is it takes all of the real estate in the city. Residential real estate valued at less than $500,000, the tax capacity of that is 1% of the value. So if you have a $100,000 house, its tax capacity is $1,000. The city will then levy a tax. The county aggregates all of the data and they figure the total tax capacity of the city based on all of its real estate. Commercial property is 1.25%, most industrial is also 1.25%. And so the city says we're going to levy X amount of dollars. And that dollar, as an example, in 2023, 24, our tax capacity was $5.1 million. This council levied roughly 68%, 68.8% of that capacity to fund city operations. And that was about 3.5 million. For 2025, our tax capacity, you'll notice this went down. Our tax capacity in 2025 went down to 4.8 million. Our real estate in the city lost value. We lost, at 68%, we lost about $164,000 if we would have kept the tax rate level. We would have lost about $164,000. And as you'll notice, this supports what I was trying to say earlier, keep the tax rates low. Well, every time, if the tax capacity went down, it did between 2011 and 2012, the city council had no choice but to raise the tax rate. Because inflation happens, we have to pay the bills. What happens here, you'll notice 15 to 16, our tax capacity went from 3 million to 3.5. That's a pretty significant increase. $500,000 off of 3 million. That's 1/6. That's about 16, 17%. So had the city council left the tax rate the same, the city would have gotten 16% more revenue based on inflation. And that would have offset this dip. The goal is to keep a relatively stable tax rate and let inflation fund our increases in costs. As houses go up in value, everything that everybody pays goes up in value. But back in 2015-16, when this went up, the city council dropped the tax rate. And again, it dropped from 16 to 17, they raised the tax rate. It went up 17 to 18, they lowered the tax rate. They were trying to keep that dollar amount level. These numbers, this is the Consumer Price Index. This is a measure of inflation. This is from Bureau of Labor Statistics. In 2010, and I understand this is kind of a nebulous number, it doesn't mean much except a guidepost. In 2010, it was 220. As we go through, there's a dotted line here, it might be a little hard to see. That's the average of the increase in inflation. This is what our tax levy's done over the same years. You'll notice that dotted line, that's an almost flat line across there. That dotted line is a much less steep slope than inflation. Next slide, please. What that causes, this is the net cash position of our city. This is coming from our audit from year before. This is based on the budget for 2024. This is an unaudited number. In 2020, we spent about $1 million out of cash reserves. 2021, we put about $1.5 million back. That includes $410,000 in COVID money from the feds, ARPA funds. In 22, we spent about 2.3. In 23, we spent about 1.6. Over these 2 years, we've spent $4.1 million out of our cash reserves without replacing it. Next slide, please. So our goals. We want to balance our operating budget. We do not want to take out of reserves. As you saw earlier, we do not have the money in reserve to be tapping into any further. No spending from, that means no spending from that unassigned fund balance. Limit capital expenditures to critical needs with consideration given to facility conditions, use, and expected future operability while maintaining fiscally responsible spending policies. Lay the foundation to rebuild appropriate reserves, both unassigned and department accounts. We want to be able, when my police chief comes to me and says, I need a new squad car, I want the money set aside for that squad car to go through. He hasn't been able to buy a squad car for 3 years because they've been unavailable. About 3 years, Chief? 3 years because they've just not been available. The supply chain issues are still drawing us through. So he's been running his squad cars a lot longer than he normally would. So we wanna lay a foundation. The budget that we're recommending, neither budget that is ready for this council contributes anything to our reserves. Both of them are operating funds only. They do not fix the reserves. We're looking to next year to have a more solid, we've got Eller's Financial working on a financial plan for the city that's strategic in nature, 5 to 20 years out, so that we can then have a strong picture and have a plan moving forward to be able to replenish our unassigned reserves and fund our normal reserve accounts. Next slide. Staff recommendation, subject to the vote of this body, is to adopt a tax levy of $4.3 million. That's 22.2% increase. This levy allows the city to have a balanced budget while maintaining all of our core services. The amount is not anticipated to contribute to any reserves. It funds operating expenses only. The recommended budget is balanced only by taking a $200,000 cash infusion from our water fund and by taking $250,000 in anticipated interest income from the city's investments from our fund balances, from our reserves. We're not tapping into our reserves, but we are taking the interest that we're earning from that. At $4.3 million, it does not support continued funding up the operation of the pool. In order to continue funding the operation of the pool, the only tax levy that comes to that level is a full preliminary tax levy, which is a 27.45% increase at $4.486 million. And at that, I still need to find another $94,000 to balance the budget. Staff recommendation is commit to identifying full funding sources prior to engaging in future projects. This includes bond payments, roads and infrastructure, high dollar items, normally funded by bonds. Historically, the city has funded those cash out of reserves. That creates an inequity, in my opinion, my professional training, that creates an inequity. Because if you're funding it out of reserves, that means that everybody that's lived here for the last 20 years is paying for that project because they pay taxes every year to go towards that reserve. What happens if we move out of the city the year before we do that project? You just paid for a project that you didn't get to use. By bonding money, every year you live in the city, a portion of your taxes pays that bond payment, you're paying for the portion that you're using while you're living in the city. It's a more equitable way to fund large projects. Next slide. The staff recommendation, gave some examples. These two dollar amounts are directly off of the tax assessor's office. These are two actual houses that are in our city. One is valued at $158,100. The tax capacity is $1,581. The 24 taxes was $1,086. If the council directs that we move to the full preliminary tax levy and operate our pool, that would be estimated $1,384 in taxes on that property, which would be a $298 difference, which would be about $25 a month. At 22%, it would be a $1,325 difference, $239 or $239 difference, about $1,990 a month. At $294,000 value, tax capacity 1%, $2,942. The 24 tax was $2,020. The estimated full preliminary at the $4.48 million would be $2,574. That would be a difference of $554 a year or $46 a month. At 22%, it would be $444 increase or about $37 a month. That's where we stand in order to fund our city operations without committing further reductions in our fund balance, in our reserves, in our unassigned reserves. We have, staff and I have prepared budgets. We are prepared for either eventuality as the council directs. That is all I have, and I believe that opens the floor, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If anyone would like to address the,
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I believe there's a question.
Yeah, just a question. Did you do a different budget with the pool included?
The 27.45% includes the pool. But it's still $94,000 short of balance. We would have to go in and find.
So instead of 22%, it'd be 27%?
It would be a 27% increase, yes.
Why would it have to go up so high?
Because that's only, because the pool costs, the difference between a non-operating facility and an operating facility is about $225,000. And that 4% is about $180,000. It doesn't cover the full cost.
What's the full cost? Is that fixing
Yeah.
it or what, where you,
The full cost to operate the pool,
is it the operation or is it fixing?
that does not include fixing, that's just operation. Fixing, we have engineers' reports that critical need that was done 2 years ago, critical need is about 1.2 million. Critical need, and then we have the other that they recommend be done within 2 to 5 years. We're 2 years into that since that report. And then additional that is other non-critical but necessary repairs.
So the city's not planning at all to keep our pool open? And there's no plan to
That's
provide a
up to them.
pool?
That is direction from the council. I have a budget in either direction. If the pool is open, it would be 27.45% increase. If the pool is not open, we can balance the budget at a 22% increase.
So the difference to the taxpayer on those two numbers is $59. From the
From the last screen you had, or that's it?
2025 estimated full preliminary there.
It depends on the value of your home.
Okay, but then according to this model, the 2025 estimated at 22% is 1,325. So that's a difference between those two numbers of $59.
Roughly, yes, ma'am.
So the taxpayer then would be paying $59 more on their,
Every property in the city, yes.
okay, so that's $59 in a year.
Yes.
Right,
In a year or a month?
No, that's per month.
that's per month.
No, the difference is per year with the 4% at a $158,000 home.
So it is
At a $300,000 home, it's about $90, about $110
a year.
a year. Sir.
Yes,
would you, please come to the podium? Yeah. And state your first, sure. Yeah, and state your first and last name and address, please.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Joseph Shostel. I live at 806 Groveland Avenue. I see some people here that I know. Good to see you all. My question is, for this gentleman, is you said $1.2 million. Could you explain a little bit about the repair costs of the pool? I'm not privy to that information. Maybe it was shared previously. I was curious to know, that's a hefty amount of money and what exactly that entails.
That's from SEH Engineering. The preliminary structural, this is the critical here, this was 2 years ago at $950. That's what it includes. Remove the perimeter of the roof. There's an auditorium, restore, when complete, replace the roof panels at bearing edges, roof step. At the end walls, remove the grout at the joist seats that go across the ceiling that hold the roof in place. While they're removed, clean joist rust, repairs new coating, remove angles and bridging angles, install new angles and fasteners. New modified wall system, replace the roof over the pool equipment room, miscellaneous, at $950,000 in the past over the previous. With the 2023, we have another facilities assessment that identifies other items.
Is there possible to get a copy of that, or is
If
that?
you email the clerk, she can do a public records request and email the students.
Thank you.
Jeff, can I just clarify, because initially when we had talked last time, my understanding was that council had considered with the pool, which would put us at the 22% increase for the budget. So now you're saying there's a 22% increase in here that you would go with without the pool operating.
The only one we did last time was without the pool for the 22%. We didn't do it with the pool. The only one with
we
the
did
pool was the
3.
27. Yeah, the one with the pool was the 27, and then
This
the
is
22 without, and the 27 without.
This one says 22.
Yeah, the one on the bottom, but that's without the pool.
That's with the pool.
Well, the ones we agreed on last time, it was 22 without
Yeah,
the
it
pool,
was,
27
we
with
had
the.
done these 3.
Okay, when,
So these turned up 2 to a pool, and this was with the pool. That was the agreement, and it was
I feel like we
22.
should have these discussions during the actual meeting, and this is the time for people to speak.
The pool budget will, or the pool will be discussed, we will have a budget meeting at the end of our council meeting. Right now, if you have any questions regarding the truth and taxation agenda, you may come to the podium.
So I know where this falls. My name is Patty Amiot. I live at 741 Groveland Avenue. The 27% with the pool in the budget, does that number include all the repairs?
No, it does not.
Okay.
Isn't that, can I just clarify, it's operation, but there's also a certain amount of money set aside for repairs.
There's
is that correct?
$20,000 set aside for repair.
Okay.
And then just to make you all aware that Fin and Fit is very committed to helping with these repair costs. And we have some fundraising things in motion now. And I would again say, we need that pool in this city. There is nothing more for these kids to do if you're not a hockey player or soccer or out at the high school. And that diminishes the long haul for getting more people coming into the city and living here. It fixes your budget, but in the long haul, it diminishes our city and will hurt us on the far end of that. Because there's been no talk of building a new complex of any kind or anything going forward on that. So to just get rid of it doesn't seem like a wise idea. When we can take at a stepping stone rate the worst things that need fixing and doing them one at a time as we go. It isn't like the building's gonna fall down tomorrow. And I know Ken Stromberg, who ran the pool for many, many years, did come up for a meeting. I understand he met with Carol and Dale, but Mr. Shoebridge, you weren't there. And
No, I was out of
you
town.
came from the cities and you knew ahead of time he was coming, so why wasn't that
No,
meeting
he
rescheduled?
did not.
I had a previously scheduled engagement out of state.
Yep, he didn't know about, because there was no time set, and then Carol got a hold of me, because I didn't know when Mr. Stromberg was coming back up. So she reached me out that Monday or Tuesday of the week that we met, and I said, I think we met Wednesday, or Thursday of last week, Thursday. And I knew that Jeff would be out of town because he had a previous engagement.
Well, there was an opportunity, I hope that can come back, that Mr. Shoebridge, that you would be able to speak with him.
But
as-
we need to stay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but this
Yeah.
is,
That's fine.
this is with the truth and taxation on where we're setting a levy. We will be having a budget discussion with the pool at the end of the council meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up to the podium regarding the truth and taxation, please? We're gonna only allow, because we got a long night ahead of us, 3 minutes for your comments, please.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a cold. I'm Bob Prudhomme. I live at 1720 South Front. I've got a question on my tax. Here, I've got a shop building cold storage in the 1800 block of South Front. My tax went up 138%. My house, I'm pretty upset about that. My house went up about 7, I think, on the tax statement. I was a little disappointed, I understand. I got here a little bit late. I think he gave a lot of good information tonight. Some of it I agree, some of it I don't, but I do understand his thinking. Can someone tell me why?
Is that the tax rate or the tax value?
Tax value.
That's a county, that's set by the county.
I gotta pay this tax. How do I do that? I don't know. But why did it go up 138%?
That's the assessors with the county.
Assessors.
The county's the one who assesses.
We have no control over that.
Well, how do I talk to them?
County commissioners, your county commissioners are either Paul Race or Gary Wilhite.
It should be in your paper that should say when their truth and taxation meeting is going to be held. It should say it under the county's portion of it.
Okay, they had one, the county had one on December 3rd, I guess. I apologize, I saw this, I've been extremely busy.
It's
I didn't
confusing.
open this till
All the
yesterday.
time. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
So I can't get an answer tonight, I gotta go to the county, this is not gonna change.
It's gonna be the assessor. I know that there is a process to try to appeal it and have it reevaluated, but that's something, again, that you would have to talk to the county about.
That's proposed though, it's not actual.
Yeah, they give you the time, there should be a deadline on there for you to,
Most of the time it stays pretty close, it's a variance a little bit. But do you understand me kind of being discussed at 138%? Did anybody tell me their property tax went up 138% in this room? 200. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I'd like to get some answers, I guess. That's just unheard of. And that's why I come here. I gotta leave, I'm at work. You people talked about the pool, I'd like to just say a couple comments. I heard that because it's 50 years old, needs a lot of maintenance, they wanna get rid of it. Who in this room or in the council has a house that's newer than, or older than 50 years old? If you had to do some maintenance on it and maintain it, I really don't think you would condemn your house and move out and go build a new one or get a new one or whatever, just because it's 50 years old. They need to put money into this pool every year for a maintenance and keep it going, just like your own home or your own business. Don't condemn it because it's 50 years old. Most people's houses in this town are 50 years old.
Thank you.
Any comments for me? Am I wrong?
You might wanna contact Polk County.
Pardon?
You might wanna contact Polk County if you want to get.
If you wanna have a discussion regarding the pool,
Yeah.
we will have that at the budget.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's why I'm not gonna say much more. I gotta get back to work. I'm at work. I'm sorry I'm late, but,
thank you for coming.
Thanks, Bob.
And hopefully,
Is there anybody else?
if you guys have any say or look into it, can you look into this? You know, there's a couple gentlemen here who said there was 200. I think the council should look at some of these tax rates. You said it's the county that does it, okay, but someone's gotta look into it. 138 and 200% is outrageous.
And
It's
Bob,
just,
I would definitely suggest you going to a county meeting and talking to those commissioners, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who oversee that.
well, I'm gonna have to, because it's, but I hope you understand my
I
concern.
totally understand.
It's,
Yep.
thank you for your time and.
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm David Brecken. I live over in Wisconsin, but I have 4.5 acres of farmland here, which is in the city limits.
Could you state your address, please?
P.O. Box 368, Birchwood, Wisconsin. My county taxes basically doubled. My city of Crookston taxes quadrupled. It went from $114 to $406, almost 200%. I don't know how you can justify that. Why is there such a difference between the county and the city?
Sir, the only way that maths, to use the phrase, is if the county changed the value
Well, they
of the
did.
property. And the
They did
city
by
had,
about $10,000.
yeah, the city has no input whatsoever
But
on
why
what the
should it-
county
why
values
should
the
it
property at.
Quadruple.
It's a function of the tax rate percentage times the value of the property. And if they increase the value of the property, then that percentage, the dollars increase in proportion.
I think it's ridiculous.
Dave, I would definitely also talk with your county commissioners, and if you're in the city of Crookston, it's either Gary Wilhite or Paul Reese that you'll wanna talk to.
Well, I live out of town, so.
That would be your city, those would be your county commissioners for this area,
Paul Reese,
Paul Reese and Gary Wilhite.
thank you.
One more comment, I'm Bob Prudhomme, you know me. But I remember you saying a comment that the values of the property in Crookston went down in 24 or 25.
Overall, that's an aggregate, that's not there's some that went up, most went down. It's an aggregate from the county.
Okay, well, from what I'm hearing from people and people I'm talking to, I find that very difficult to understand. Because everybody I've talked to, the taxes and the property values have gone up. So I don't know how you can tell us that they went down. That's one thing I disagreed with.
And again, that's a number we're getting from the county.
The numbers were provided to us by the county on July 1st. And the city has no input in those numbers, the county aggregates the numbers.
I just don't know how they come up with that numbers, talking to, you know, a handful of people here and my other friends and people at work and stuff. They all tell me their taxes went up, values went up. So when you said that the city on the overall went down, I thought, wow, how can that be? That's just my question. And if it's the county, somebody's gotta answer for it. Either they're not giving you the right information or something, I don't know.
Your county auditor, or just, I think going to one of the meetings and having that conversation would be a good thing. Sorry, we couldn't help more.
Is there anyone else?
Your Honor, I do have a submission from a citizen that I'd like to read for the record. Says, proposed 2025, the City of Crookston real estate tax. What are you people thinking? My name is Bruce Kruger. I live at 119 Gulf Terrace. Due to a scheduling surgery, I will not be able to attend the December 9th meeting addressing the 2025 proposed taxes. However, I want my thoughts known and recorded. My proposed City of Crookston's real estate taxes show a 31.5% $700 increase over what I've paid in 2025. This extreme increase follows a 20% increase in my city taxes in 2024 and a 21.5% increase in 2023. All told, you are increasing my City of Crookston real estate by 90% since 2022. And all this time, I personally have not seen one single additional service. What in heaven's name are you spending my money on? You really must get a handle on this. I don't care what you cut, just start cutting, and then cut some more. If you can't show me any benefits that I'm personally receiving, I can't be in good sense support with you and these constant excessive tax increase. Thoroughly disappointed, Bruce Kruger.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address council on the truth in taxation?
My name is Darrell Hersman. My property is at 1101 Washington. And I'd like to compliment the council for the hearing tonight because you answered a lot of my questions as far as how we got here. If I understand the city administrator properly, we're catching up from what was previous city policy. Am I correct in paraphrasing you there?
Yes, sir, from my understanding, we had somewhere between 30 and 50 years of maintaining limited increases without regard for inflation.
You bet. So, I'm happy that Mr. Kruger, sent that letter because that's in line with my question for you tonight is, okay, say, the levy of 27% is accepted and passes. Okay, that's for next year. Now, is this a one-off thing? Or can we expect a 22% increase the following year and maybe a 27% increase the year after that? Nobody can predict the future, I grant you that. But here today, what are your thoughts? Is this going to be a one-time increase or is it going to be like Mr. Kruger experienced almost 100% increase over 3-4 years?
Can I share just historical information? Because I think we were talking about strategy. One of the big things that this council specifically has tried to do is actually be very thoughtful about how we go forward. And it has been a process, but we've had all of our facilities assessed because part of the problem was they were more concerned about keeping the tax increases low, but not actually doing the maintenance to our buildings. So that, I think, is a perfect example is the pool. Right? So we had everything assessed. We had our roads and sewer assessed. We are in the process of completing our comprehensive plan, which is also kind of that guiding North Star. We've done our housing study, and we've recently finally engaged Ellers to do our business strategic plan going forward, which is going to provide us a more thoughtful way of actually going through and funding these city projects, right? Instead of this being one-off or us digging into our reserves, which has been kind of the status quo, unfortunately, for the past for the past several years. I think the other part that was pretty significant in this is that we had not truly, I think, balanced our budgets on a monthly basis like we should have. And again, that was due to a lot of the turnover that we've had recently. But we've also engaged and are currently almost up to date now with everything. And I think that when we talked about not verifying budgets, it wasn't that we were not verifying the budgets before we were spending the money, but the money that we were told in talking to those financial individuals previously had said that, yes, this is available and we can go forward. That obviously wasn't correct, right? So we've now had to right the ship, and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. So I think it is our hope to be able to be more clear in what we're doing and how we can do that more strategically going forward, whether that is, as Jess has mentioned, bonding for something. So those who are currently here are paying for things that are going forward and hopefully alleviating some of this tax issue. Can I predict the future? No, but are we trying to be as strategic as possible? Absolutely. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know if you have more to say to that, Jeff, but I think that kind of.
Right now, and I can only concur, sir, with what you said, we don't have a crystal ball. I can say that one of the fears that I have is looking forward to next year. What if? I can't budget on what if. What if our tax capacity gets reduced by the county again next year? That's a what if that I don't even wanna think about.
Well, I think that's why, what are you drinking, like 3 bottles of Mountain Dew?
So far for the day,
The case here.
this is number 8, 9.
Gives me anxiety with his mouth. He should not be admitting that.
The taxpayers might have to buy you a case.
We need to keep.
So the other thing too is with this budget and with one of the 2 budgets we're gonna choose from, and the one with the pool is at the operating budget only.
Yeah.
Anything happens significant to the pool, I don't know what our choices are. That's where we're at. Right now, we're at a shoestring budget on just getting through 2025. And it doesn't help us for any future years. We're trying to get through 2025 on one of these 2 budgets.
And
Oh, also to the comments about what am I getting from this? I think sometimes what isn't seen is, it's not flashy and it's not fun and it's not a new pool or a community center or a library or that, but it is the water, it is the sewer, it's the road, it's the snow plows, it's just the basic day-to-day stuff.
And unfortunately, with inflation or things being very old and breaking down, and us not having put the money into it to maintain and have that capital fund balance, is that you might not see and think that we're getting anything, but really this money is just going to the very basic needs to keep the community running. And that's unfortunately what it costs today.
You bet. And to your point of inflation, if any of you can control that,
I'll get on that myself.
you have my respect. So at 27%, if inflation takes us up whatever it does, and hopefully we won't hit hyperinflation like Zimbabwe or Argentina, we will be fine with the gradual increase. I've owned property in Polk County for 45 years. So I guess in that time I've enjoyed lower tax rates than what I could have enjoyed. So kudos to you for the job you do. It's not an easy job. And you know, nobody likes to pay taxes. Nobody likes to pay more taxes. But helping us understand something about how we got here and why we're here and where we're going, I appreciate that, and hats off to you people.
Thank you.
I promise to go really quick. I'm Paul Gregg, live at 108 Gulf Terrace, Crookston. I'll read you all my pages to you later, keep you here till midnight. No, I just want, because since this is truth and taxation right now, I just want to make a comment. If you're going to raise my taxes 22% or 27%, don't take away an asset that this town appreciates and uses on a daily basis for a lot of people. I'll get in more about the pool stuff later, but I understand that your tough position all of you are in, and I know most of you have personally for many years, but I'll come back and keep you here really late.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Say,
I'm sorry, I got one more comment here. You people said that it's the counties that raise the tax so much. I looked at my statement closer. The county only raised it, $400. The city raised it almost $1,000.
So there's the tax levy and then the tax rate. So like what the tax value, the value of your property is what.
Why did the county only go up $200 and the city $1,000?
Because they raised the value of that, but their tax rate, the levy, is less than ours. So I don't know what their tax levy is on.
Well, there's what they paid last year. You know, it went, you know, it's way more. The city is getting
It's
way
based on the
more, way
evaluation of
more.
and you were saying that the valuation has gone up 138%?
Well, down here where it says my
Yeah.
tax went up 138. Yep.
And that is the county, and so based on what the county assesses, the rate of your property is in what is based on the taxes.
So there's the tax, the value of your property, they raised it, is what you're saying. And then their levy, so we're at 20, I think we submitted 27.
No, the tax rate for 2020,
The city's percentage is way higher than the county's.
the city provides many more services than the county.
Okay, but that's what.
27.46.
You're telling me it's the county's problem that my taxes went, and I want an answer from the city when theirs is so high. If the county went up 38, that's high, but the city went up over 100%. I don't understand that, and you're saying it's all county fault.
Well-
So I'm gonna go to them and ask them, and they said, well, you're gonna have to go to the city and talk to them. I can hear it already.
Yeah, no, Bob, I understand, you're feeling like, okay, you go to this person and you get bounced back and forth, right? I totally understand that.
I've done this before.
Yeah, what I think that the difference here is like, we're very clearly explaining to you what taxes are going towards for that 22 to 27, right? But what the actual, that percentage is based off of is how much your property is worth. And that is, at the end of the day, where I think the biggest concern is for you, because it went up 138%. If it hadn't gone up 138%, then that would be a significantly different cost, right? So at the end of the day, it's not, yes, our taxes it's not favorable, understandable, but you understand why, okay? We've explained that to you.
So if his
The issue here is the valuation of that land.
So his
You're
property
saying
was,
27%, mine's over 100%.
But if
For the
his
city- The city only. I didn't put a number to the counties.
But hold on a
I can
second,
see
if
it.
your property is worth the same, valued the same as last year,
was not.
then for the city, it would only be going up 22 to 27, correct? Right. So then, the reason why it's going up so much is because of your value of your property. So if you wanna do the math, look at what your property was valued at last year, and then take our percentages, that's what you would have paid had your the valuation of your property been the same as last year. So that increased valuation of your property, that's why the city's is increased as much as well.
But, yeah, theirs is up 100, not 27.
Is there anyone else? I will adjourn this truth and taxation.
Briggs. Cavalier.
Here.
Alt. Here. Clot.
Here.
Menard.
Where'd he go?
Went to the restroom.
Sorry, I should have made sure everybody was seated.
Jurdy.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Menard.
Okay. It's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please.
Hi, Matt Rossu, 200 Golf Terrace.
If it's regarding the pool discussion, we will be having a budget and the pool will be part of that discussion at our budget meeting following council.
That's fine, I can still talk about it. This is a forum after all. Previously, I've spoken, I've had my son up here to meet the city council.
Tanner?
Mr. Ross, there is a time where you can speak for it, it's not necessarily right now, mayor has told you we need to speak about it. Hold off, you have other stuff we have to do prior to that discussion.
Is there enough people here to fill up 15 minutes for the city forum?
We are having the pool discussion on the budget meeting following council. You can speak then.
There's gonna be time for you to speak then, but the mayor runs the meeting, he's told you how he wants to run the meeting. You gotta abide by that.
I thought the Crookston Forum
For
citizens.
anything that's not already on the agenda, it's on the agenda to discuss about it after this meeting.
So I'm being muzzled by the city council.
No, you're not, sir.
To speak at the Ways and Means meeting, following directly after this.
All of you support this?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not being muscled, sir.
I am, because I'm being told I can't speak.
Not
You are allowed to speak at the next
The next
meeting.
meeting, which follows directly after this.
You are going to be
Yeah.
fully allowed your time at that meeting.
If you have something that's not currently on the agenda, you're more than welcome to talk about it.
But the pool is on the agenda.
Let's go. So all the other people that spoke, they had a higher right than me to speak about the pool during the truth and taxation.
They were questioning where the levy was gonna be sit with the pool or without the pool.
Bridge, so. So, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can do that one. So then, is there somebody on the phone bridge, Keenan?
There is someone on the phone bridge, but I'll wait. I got him
We-
queued up, waiting to answer.
So. Okay,
Very disappointed at the city council.
Sorry.
That's
Matt
ridiculous.
Keenan.
or Keenan, sorry, phone bridge, please.
It's currently on.
Can you hear us?
Keith Magnuson.
Keenan, is there an issue with the public access channel?
Not that I was aware of, but, I mean, at least on YouTube, I still have audio, I guess I'm not sure why channel 3 is having issues.
There is no sound on channel 3.
My apologies, sir. We have our IT representative here going upstairs to look at it right now. But in the meantime, if you would like, we are also live streaming on the City of Crookston YouTube channel. And from what I've seen, our audio is perfectly clear over there.
I don't have that.
All right, we can
Okay.
we'll address that.
We're actively working on getting it addressed right now.
Thank you.
All right, 'cause we're told that there's always council meeting on channel 3. I don't know what's going on, but it is not happening.
We will look into it. We have our IT tech looking into it right now.
Yeah, I heard that. That's before.
Thank you. Anyone else, Kian?
Nobody else on the phone right, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Agent logged off.
Okay, no presentations. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard
Henry.
Henry. Discussion, hearing none, roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? I got a motion by Don. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Clayton? Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. No public hearings. Regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution regarding approving 10 acres of the industrial park as an in-kind donation to the Minnesota Northern Railroad.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll second.
Got Tim and Christie. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is regarding the ongoing rail spur project. It will remove 10 acres from a Cash Farm lease currently under lease by the city to a farmer tenant. The city has notified the farmer regarding the change, and they are aware that they will be losing. The railroad has confirmed they will not need to intrude into the remaining acreage, and we will be reducing the lease payments for the parcel on the Cash Farm lease by the percentage of the reduction in acreage.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
Can you tell me how many acres that will leave the VTB farms to
Ru-
for tillable acres?
I believe it's roughly 70.
Roughly about 83-ish, yeah, approximately 83-ish.
And when will that project start? On the railroad spur?
My understanding is they're intending to start in the spring.
Okay, and how will the access?
Ma'am, if you could please approach the podium.
I'm Trish Erdman, I'm part of the BTB Farms, the T and the BTB. And I just wanna know how it's gonna impact our farming operation, so we know how to plan going forward as to how much fertilizer to buy and seed to buy for that property. And I wanna know how it's going to change the access of our operation into that property.
From my understanding, it's not going to impact the access,
Okay.
and it's a 10 acre reduction. So whatever that percentage, as far as the fertilizer, that would be a math problem, percentage problem, just to figure through based on the acreage that is being farmed. If you want, this conversation is getting rather technical and detailed, that with the approval of it, I don't see from the maps that that we've been seeing that it would affect the operations. If you have any more direct questions as for direct access and all, if you call City Hall in the morning, we can go over any details with the maps with you.
Okay, all right. Because right now, we just have the east crossing to go through and north, but it's inhibited by the new pavement driveway to that.
Ashley, is there a map
aggravation
in the
that we-
packet?
So,
No, because this is for the railroad spur has it in the packet, yes. Under Carrie's portion of
so you said there are about 70 acres that will be tillable then?
80 plus.
Okay.
And we'll have your next agenda item is for the contract, so we can discuss that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is
This is for the donation,
map?
yes, that's the map.
All right, further discussion.
So then this would be, if you would do this, this would be moving forward with the railroad spur?
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Briggs?
Aye.
Cavalier?
Aye.
Alt?
Aye.
Clock?
Aye.
Menard?
Aye.
Hima?
Aye.
Jody?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.2 is a resolution regarding the Cash Farm lease at the industrial park with BTB Farms.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
motion, Your
resolution?
Honor.
Got a motion by Don. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Clayton. Thank you. Discussion.
Mayor, members of council, 8.02 and 8.03 are both regarding approving cash farm leases that were put out for sealed bid, with highest bid winning the leases.
Don't we already have a contract with BTB Farms?
I wanted to give a little context, just to say that this is until the end of this next year. So it's until the fall of this next year. So normally our Cash Farm leases are a 3-year lease, but we are going until this last year, so.
So this is for 2025.
Correct, it will be until the end of 2025. Because of the railroad spur, we don't know.
The infrastructure improvements that will eventually be done to the parcel, once the spur construction is moved, we're pushing the infrastructure, out a year so that, it can still be tilled for the majority.
This is the third year then with BTB Farms that we're going into?
I believe it was a handshake agreement last year, if I'm remembering the correct. And then this year we're formalizing because of the project.
Okay.
So again, this, the lump sum was $11,735.50 for each farm season, so.
Further discussion. Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Okay, so Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt,
Aye.
Plot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma,
Aye.
Jerde,
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution regarding a cash farm lease around the Crookston Sports Center with Ryan Richman.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton and Don, thank you. Discussion? This is the same as,
This item is a new Cash Farm Lease. It's a 3-year term. That was put out for sealed bid. With the highest bid winning the lease. This is a new tenant on this parcel.
okay, thank you. Is there further discussion?
So when a contract is written up like that, for example, if we have a developer wanting to come in and put up a building or apartment complex, how's that work?
Well, I think, we've done in the past, you know, we were looking at development on the industrial park and whether they have, let's say, fertilizer down in the fall of the year for next year's planning, we would pay a portion
Mayor,
of
I
it.
just wanted just to say, in the contract here, there is a rent adjustment changed for acreage. And within that contract, it says, the terms in that, so if you wanna go.
Ashley, were those in the packet? Cause I'm just looking. and
Yes,
trying to
yeah, they
find-
were attached to.
Separately?
No, it should have been in the packet, so. Is it not in the packet?
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it.
I could very easily be missing it.
Again, it is then my apologies, and that was mine, so then I will make sure that everybody has.
So, yeah, I got it
so-
in my paper packet.
Yeah, so again, my apologies, I must have not attached that, and again, that is on me, but I will get that to the council.
And it goes the same with, if they have a crop in, that we pay a percentage too, if we destroy their crop or.
Again, all of the terms are in there, and I
Okay.
will, again, I apologize to not have that, again, I will make sure and everybody have that. But again, right now, what it states is in here is the rent adjustment, the landlord may reduce the actual tillable acres available to the tenant at the effective date of this lease by exercising the rights of termination in paragraph 4, which is explaining that the landlord and tenant agreement, the annual cash rent payable under this lease. So then it goes by the percentage per acre, so. And again, I will get that to the council.
I found it.
Yeah, the Cash Farm Lease.
Is it?
It's not in a different place.
Okay, sorry, I was like, I'm usually
Order.
pretty good about putting those in
Yeah.
there, and I apologize, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Lot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jerde.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.04 is a resolution regarding amendment number 1 to MnDOT contract number 10533917, Crookston ADA retrofit Trunk Hwy 2.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
No, thank you, Wendy. Discussion.
Mayor, members of the council, this is it's a minor change to the MnDOT contract. It identifies, some certain exhibit numbers that, whereas they were previously notated with straight letters, they have C1 and D1, E1, as opposed to just letters. And in another sub-article 3.1, it amends, the contractor who is not a state employee will perform all duties in exhibit C1 to the satisfaction of the state. sub 6.1, the state will pay for performance by the contractor under this contract in accordance with Exhibit D1. The original contract, any previous amendments are incorporated in by reference. The identified changes in this contract refer to the state, and it's a very minor change, so staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Further discussion?
So is it just basically saying, just for clarification, that instead of the city doing the work, that a contractor will do the work?
Instead of the state doing the work, a contractor would be doing the work.
Okay.
And it's on their dime, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
This is part of the ADA grant that we got, right?
Yes, sir.
Further discussion?
A little more information.
Sure, I'd love that.
So, yeah.
All right, it was simply put, the amendment is for additional services from SRF, having them analyze the traffic signals more. There was some discussion about we don't need these traffic signals, but then in speaking with some residents and some staff, we were like, no, these are pretty important, we should keep these ones in place. So there's no additional cost for the city of Crookston with this. However, since the city signed the original agreement, anytime we change anything, the city has to sign the amendments.
So you just have to sign up on it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Chuck.
Yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Kidma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.05 is a resolution regarding the request of subordination for Building Vision Crookston LLC located at 509 North Main Street.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
So
resolution?
moved, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Second.
Tim. And Morgan, thank you. Discussion?
Mayor, members of the council, this is related to one of the grant loans that we had given out to Building Vision Crookston LLC. It's a forgivable loan after 5 years. The owner of the property has taken out, or is either has taken, I believe Tanner either has taken or is in the process of taking out a new mortgage, and the mortgage holder has requested that the city subordinate their loan to the new mortgage. Staff recommends approval as it is a forgivable loan. The risk to the city is minimal with those terms.
And just to clarify, Jeff covered it really well. It is that forgivable loan. It's the Opticare building, and our loan was for $40,000. The Franson Bank and Trust loan is for $338,000. They're refinancing under that, their previous mortgage that they had with Franson Bank and Trust. I don't know for sure if they've already done it. I kind of think that they have already refinanced, but they are asking that the city subordinate our loan kind of to show that we're supporting them and promoting their business as they go forward.
And has it been the 5 years?
No, the loan, it's just on the renovations for the building that occurred. So it's really early actually in the process.
Yeah, I believe this loan was approved in August.
August, yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, thanks, Tanner. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Kidma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.06 is a resolution regarding the Small Cities Development Program Rehabilitation Loan Funding with respects to Golf Insiders LLC from local income.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Henry, thank you. Discussion?
It's on map.
Yes, Mayor and Council, my understanding is this is a similar project as to what was done prior for another property owner to reinforce the exterior walls, grouts, and improve. Just one moment, I'm scrolling through our packet down to the next
Keep going, I think.
Yeah, they've requested an amount of $32,800. This is another forgivable loan that is parcel 8200171101. That, again, this, which is located.
It's on Main Street, just on the other side of the parking lot of the Viking.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the map here. The screen is kind of small, so it's kind of hard to see those 82 numbers on that ID. But yes, that, and from what my understanding is from the loan application, this is again.
The property address is 211 Main Street, north.
And is there any more,
Yeah, we've got some money left.
no, is there any more, information regarding this one?
Regarding this loan?
Yeah, I mean, is it at the 5-year mark or?
No, this is going, it will be a 5-year, it's a new
Oh, it's
loan.
request,
It's a
okay. Got it.
This is the loan funding that we need to spend out by the end of the year. This loan will get us to within about $7,000 of spending out, per state guidelines.
Sure.
And it is, and again, it is a rehab loan for exterior work, reinforcing and rebuilding
Okay.
for exterior walls.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Plot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Pidma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.07 is a resolution regarding adopting the 2025 calendar of regular council and Ways and Means meetings.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second by Morgan, Clayton and Morgan. Thank you. Discussion.
Mayor and members of the council, what is presented by staff is a recommendation to move our council meetings from the second and fourth Mondays to the first and third Mondays. There are several reasons for this. A minor reason is late in the year, it would avoid late year holiday conflicts. As you'll note in the next item on the agenda, we're asking to move the 23rd meeting to the 30th so that we can avoid the week of Christmas. Many people will be out of town, both residents and any staff members or council members wishing to visit family that may be out of town. But more importantly, on a larger scale, many of our surrounding government entities, and in the packet, I identified the school board as one, they meet the same time as we do. And if we can move ours to the first and third, that would assist myself and staff in facilitating some intergovernmental cooperation and networking and possibly work a little bit more regionally as opposed to being isolated. So we have a couple of benefits to it. We avoid holidays and it allows us to collaborate with our surrounding governments in a better, more meaningful way.
Okay, thank you. It used to be on the first and third years ago. There was a conflict, I know, with one council member because of his work that we moved it to the second and fourth of the month.
Well, and I will tell you, I've had people complain that our meetings are at the same time as the school board. And at one point, we were meeting at 7 PM, which was not conducive, especially when you have long meetings. So I think this is good. I'm assuming the Tuesdays that are in this list are because of a holiday.
Yes.
So, just for clarification.
Yeah, we'll move a few of them from Mondays to Tuesdays because of holidays, but overall, the impact, I think, on the first and third is much better for operations.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
I agree with that, there's times I'd like to attend school board meetings and stuff, so I'd like to see it.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.08 is discussion regarding the council meeting on December 23rd, 2024 to change it to December 30th, 2024.
I guess Jeff already made his reason why. The consensus is to move forward with this.
Is there anybody out on the 30th? I'm gonna be in California.
So there's nothing that's, gotta get in by the end of the month or anything?
Yes, we have to have.
We do have to have our budget to the county by the 30th.
Yes.
There is no time on that, as long as we email it and have it time stamped prior to midnight, we are in compliance.
So the danger is if we don't have a forum on the 30th, that is the danger.
That would be a danger, yes, sir.
Consensus, everybody can make it?
Yep.
Except Christie will be where it's warm.
Well, I'll just see where I'm at.
You can go online. You can go online.
I know, I have my kids with me. I'm in California, so we'll see.
Consensus is move forward with December 30th?
Yeah. Aye.
Okay. We need roll call on that?
As long as everybody.
Okay, thank you. All right, brings us to council reports. Start with Jeff.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, you have mine and the departmental reports written form. I'm available to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Start with Tim, anything to report?
Let's see, I came to the offices at 7 o'clock this morning for an airport commission meeting to find out that it had been canceled, but I wasn't on the email list.
I wasn't either.
To be noticed, so every morning, wake up.
I will get with Lowell to make sure that you are included on the email.
You know what he did is he just copied a list from a former
So there's somebody else that got the
somebody else,
notification.
yeah.
Apologies, sir.
Is
Yeah,
it
we
possible
made that call yesterday.
Yeah.
Or yesterday when the reports were that we were going to have very bad weather.
Yeah.
Which did not come to pass.
Other than
And it
that,
wasn't great, but we also have it deleted off our calendars too, so we know that it's canceled. That might be a good way of just kind of giving us a heads up.
Yes, I was not in the area. I was in the air most of the day and emailing back and forth with Lowell during layovers.
other than that,
You pulled me in EDA meetings going to them.
Delane, anything?
So no, I want to thank Jeff for your presentation on the truth in taxation. I think it's probably one of the best presentations we've had to the citizens since I've been on the council, so thanks, Jeff, for that.
All right, thank you. Wendy?
No report.
Thank you. Don?
No report.
Thank you. Layton?
I'd like to thank Chuck and city crew for getting out bright and early this morning, getting the sand spread all over the ice city, because it was icy all over town. So thank you, Chuck, and let your crew know. That's all I have.
Thank you. Henry?
No report.
Christie?
I just wanted to thank the chamber and the DCDP for the stocking event that's happened this last week. It's just really nice to make sure that we're having those types of events in our downtown and all the hard work and effort that went towards it, so.
Thank you. Morgan?
Again, thank you for the presentation and thank you for everyone that did come and had questions. And I'd also like to wish everybody a happy holidays. I guess we'll see you before the new year, but happy other holidays, whatever you celebrate.
Okay, thanks, Morgan. Don, you had something to add?
Yes, I forgot to mention that we had a Ward 4 meeting, and I want to thank Jeff for the great job he's done. We've had a lot of good comments from the people who were there, and we had a good discussion about Ward 4 and some of the things that we need to do. So thank you, Jeff, for being there, and also some of the people that were in the audience that were there. I think we had a good discussion. Thank you very much. we're gonna have, one more meeting after the first of the year. So we're gonna do 4 meetings or 4 during the year, so, or maybe more, who knows? But it's good to have people come in and talk about things with the ward and what they need and what the city can do for them, so, so thank you very much. That's all I have, Mark.
Thank you, Don. I would also like to thank Jeff for his report tonight. And also a thanks to Chuck. I didn't expect it, but you know, we had the warm weather, or to his crew, I should say. And then we got the rain and the alleys turned into skating rinks and they went and sanded the alleys, so thank you to your crew. Also, thank you for everyone that has showed up tonight and who is staying. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Just a reminder, we will have a budget meeting following council, so nothing come before council. We are adjourned. Thank you. council budget workshop for December 9, 2024, order please. Discussion on which budget to move forward. I know in Jeff's presentation, he gave us, 2 options. So I guess I'm looking for discussion, which route to go. If there's anyone from the council chambers that wanna talk regarding the pool, I'm gonna limit it to 5 minutes per person. Fair? Fair. Okay. I guess the numbers that were thrown at us was 27%, 22%, and at 27, that's with the pool, but we're still pushing $100,000, almost short.
The 20, yes, Mr. Mayor, I have the budgets in front of me. The 22% increase with no pool, the draft has a shortage from balance of 71,200. The draft with the pool at 27.45% has a draft shortage of 94,955. It is the belief of staff that these are numbers that as we've worked through the workers' comp adjustments and other adjustments, now that we have full information from our carriers, that we can balance and have a balanced budget at those numbers.
So my question, if we went 27% plus with the levy increase, and that includes the pool, I don't know where we're gonna find the extra 94,900.
Well, the other question is, so correct me if I'm wrong, we have, if we pass the budget with the pool, you have built in $20,000 for extra, is that correct, Jeff?
Let me, I just scrolled to that tab, let me go to that specific line item so that I can speak correctly. Currently, in the pool, I have, for the repairs, equipment repair, the current budget is 10,000. For the new budget, I have 25,000 budgeted. For building repair, that's equipment. For building repairs and maintenance, the current budget has 10,000 and I have 20,000.
So.
Can I just clarify, did we get both operating budgets?
Christie, I'm still in my question.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand what we're talking about because I don't have anything in front of me. I only see
They're
one.
the same budgets that were provided earlier, ma'am.
Okay, so this isn't, because you added something or attached something, so I'm just trying to see what we're looking at. So the one that's attached to the current email was just the one that you presented here.
That is the 22% without the pool operating. At previous meetings, the 27% with the pool was provided to the council at the last meeting.
And that's option number 2, right? Tag 22 with pool.
27.45 with pool.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to clarify what you're talking about before you say it.
Okay, so, something happens once that repairs have been depleted. What happens and we close the pool if it's a safety?
At that point, we would then reevaluate the annual budget, looking at the parks budget, and come to council and ask for direction based on availability or non-availability of funds in other locations within the budget, within the parks department. I cannot speak to whether there would or would not be funds available at any particular time. Obviously, the further along in the year, the less the likelihood that funds would be
If
available.
it's a safety issue, of course, we have to shut it down.
As the case was with the fire panel this year, there are certain events that would cause us.
So I guess for me, I'm almost inclined to support a budget with the pool. The challenge that I have with myself and with us is, does anybody here believe we're not gonna go over that amount of, that he has budgeted for any upcoming repairs?
Jeff, excuse me, Jeff, what have we spent currently on maintenance on the pool or a ballpark for this for 24?
We've exceeded 20,000. We've more than doubled the maintenance budget for the pool currently. That is where the 25,000 trend came from for the equipment repairs on the 25 budget.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I mean, I don't know, what's that trend from 23 and 22? Is it a lot lower than I wanna say it's a lot lower than probably 23 or?
The actual number for 22 for the equipment repairs line item was 7564. The 23 actual was 10,869. The year-to-date, as of June 30th, was 11,767. I do not have the current numbers in front of me, but I know that we've done several repairs since then.
So I also.
The actuators and the fire panel, which combined were over $11,000 or $12,000. I would like to point out, however, we do need to track these dollars amounts as dollars spent. However, some of those dollar amounts for the actuator were provided by Fit and Fin.
Yeah.
So those were non-budgetary numbers. However, again, with the 25,000, we wanted that to reflect what we would reasonably expect the city to need to pay based on normal wear and tear.
And so, the one gentleman's question, I thought he had an interesting question, and I think I know the answer, which it's difficult to say, but he said, is this a one-off, or do we expect this to continue? And I don't, at this point, as I'm sitting here, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel to decrease the taxes for any time in the foreseeable future.
I can, with this budget not contributing to any reserves, next year's budget, we will have to find a way to contribute to reserves to build our financial foundation. My fear that I do not have a crystal ball. My hope is that our tax capacity does not drop again next year, that we have an increase. I believe it was 22 to 23, or 23 to 24, that we had a significant increase in our tax capacity, and I believe that may have had some part in our reduction this year, in that perhaps that was an overestimation. I don't have a crystal ball to know. I know that East Grand Forks began a path to rebuild their finances in 2015. And this year was the first year that they lowered their tax rate. Last year, their tax rate was 75% of capacity. As we've spoken before, their tax capacity is double ours for a similar sized city. This year, 24, was the first year that they've reduced their tax rate. They went from 75 to 70 point some odd percent tax capacity. That was a 9-year process. We are in year 3. The first 3 years, this 25 would be the 3rd year, and we have been more aggressive in the initial years than East Grand Forks was in their initial years. So I can't speak to, I don't have a crystal ball to know where the end is, but I know that 25 will not be the last year before we have, and then we will have financial stability, that I do not anticipate that. I anticipate we will still need to either reassess our services and our city costs. We will need to reassess our levies. We will need to continue to move forward on housing. That is going to be a key portion, housing and businesses, to increasing our tax base.
Even though we talk about doing some bonding and stuff like that, that doesn't really help us at the end of the day to lower our yearly taxes, does it?
At this juncture, it does not, because bonding is normally done for capital projects, not for operating. And we need to have a stable operating budget to move forward in a fiscally responsible manner. Currently, we are right at our operating budget. So that would, bonding for any projects, if we were to bond, as an example, for a roof project and some roads at about 1.5 to 1.8 million. The 1.8 million, the bond payment on that would be roughly 132,000 a year. Some of that can come from water and sewer. Our water department does have good reserves, except they also are set aside for those water bond payments. So I would hesitate to take more than what we are taking this year out of water, at risk of undermining the stability there. So moving forward, as we start looking at bonding, the one thing I would remind the council, bonds are a debt and they do incur payments annually afterwards, and we would need to find the funding to make those payments.
So the only thing that we're doing by going with the lower percentage of, was it 22? We're still not, we're just lowering the tax, how much the citizens pay in tax dollars. We're still not increasing our situation's not getting any better, one way or the other, correct?
Either operation is a net sum zero. This is a float year, if you would. It allows us to provide the time for Ellers, Holly, and I to work together to look at our full picture and provide that strategic plan moving forward. But either one that we have in front of us does not fundamentally strengthen our position.
One last question then. Have you guys had a chance yet to look at the fees being charged for residents versus non-residents and different things to try to gain some revenue that way for the pool?
We've been looking at some aspects of that, but at the same time, we don't want to price ourselves out of operation. I think it would be prudent that we have a different rate for a non-resident.
We're pricing ourselves out of operation for having it.
Poor choice of words, but we don't want to charge so much that we reduce our limited usage that we have. We want to be able to maintain and or grow the usage.
This is just for the council based on the positions that we're both in, and neither one helps us at the end of the day. And I guess for me then, since for the overwhelming support or outpouring of support of the pool, I guess for me, I'd be willing, if we're looking for a consensus tonight, I'd be willing to go with a budget. I've even heard some people here tonight saying, well, if it's 27% and we still keep the pool, most of the folks here seem to be okay with that option. So I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I concur.
I guess my comment to that is we're still $96,000 short. So my thought is, and I hate saying this, but if we're gonna be $96,000 short and we need to pay for the pool, I feel like we need to pull that $96,000 from Park and Rec, and then my question is, what are we not paying for in Park and Rec? What are we cutting?
Well, the other thing is I agree with you, what you're saying, but through this whole process, how long have we been going through this process of and I just found out here, like, I don't understand where the disconnect is. Why is the Park and Rec board seemed like they were just notified of it like within the last couple of weeks. I don't understand that. So yeah, I'd like to,
If the park board wants to keep it open, then I think the park board needs to find the $96,000.
I would echo that consent. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I would also say a couple things. I think one, Jeff, I don't know if you had a chance to finally go back and look at what the credit cards actually were in revenue, because I know that wasn't showing on the last time. Were you able to dig a little bit deeper on that?
No, we have not. I can make a note.
Because I think it was like 30,000 different, so I think pretty significant in
And
cost. So
what-
I'm curious if that could help bring
Which line
down.
item was that, ma'am?
Huh?
Which line item was that?
It was the credit card, it was the credit card revenue, from paying for like parties and things that were utilized through the ActiveNet system that weren't currently in there.
Would that be the open swim fees?
Yeah.
Inside, those are listed, swim lessons, open swim fees, membership fees, aqua aerobics, those are listed, but they're over several line items.
Okay, so it's not, well, I don't know, she pulled the reports. Do you? Oh, perfect. And so those weren't included, because we went through and looked at what initially Vance had given us the other day, and it wasn't, what was the total amount for just the credit card fees? What would be like cash, check, and credit card payments?
Could you come up to the podium, please?
Yeah, so the revenue was very off, and so before the $30,000 that the school contributed, the total would have been $42,048.
Okay, I have 32,500 budgeted. That was in consultation with the Parks and Rec Director. We can look at some of that to see that 10,000 would help to alleviate part of that 90,000 shortfall.
No, that's before the 30,000, and so altogether, the revenue would be $72,000.
Yes, I'm saying I have 30,000 from the school.
Oh,
And I have an additional 32,500
I see them.
in activities fees.
Okay, and that would have accounted for that? That wouldn't have been separate?
The
was just swimming?
32,500 is all of the different special events, swim lessons, private lessons, membership fees, or aqua aerobics, open swim fees. Each one of those items, it may be a single item in the credit card report, but in the budget, it's different, it's divided among different line
Sure.
items.
I just wanna make sure that it's accounted for when we're considering this. Is that it?
I'm just gonna go back to it though, again, we're $100,000 short. What are the recommendations from all of you guys that we cut?
Well,
I like
think
your
that
idea,
you're
Morgan. I say it should come from the Parks Department.
Yeah,
Because to my point though, is that now are we cutting softball, baseball, actual parks, hockey? I'm just saying, it has to come somewhere.
yep.
And I would like to see what the usage is for the pool versus, again, those sports, the softball and the baseball courts, hockey. What is being used? What are those numbers being used? Before we cut something from Parks Department, I would like it to be based off of usage.
Because if I hear what you're saying, if we're cutting to come up with $100,000, if we're cutting a program to get that $100,000, that's, let's just say, for example, a softball.
Yeah.
And let's just say we have 100 and 200 people doing the softball.
Yeah.
And we have, what's the average,
Did you have those numbers?
5 or something, right?
like 25 to 30 people that are constantly using the pool? So where's the,
That's just what I'm asking for.
yeah, it's a great question.
But I think also, I don't think it hurts to have the park board actually be part of those conversations, with that understanding. But I think the other thing, and this is my other concern, is I think that there's definitely some opportunity for us to try to pay for this pool in a lot of different ways. I think sales tax could be one of them.
But that doesn't fix next year.
No, it doesn't, but it at least allows the operation and that it's not sitting dormant and then just falling apart, right? That we're actually actively trying to do the maintenance on it and keeping it up to some type of par, and not completely abandoning it and then just not being what it needs to be, right? So I think the other thing is, I know that Jeff, I had shared with you some of that information, and I don't know if you had followed up with those particular individuals, but I think there's some other opportunities too for possible funding that could be considered as well. That couldn't be talked about until we actually were able to find some way of doing it. But I think it doesn't hurt to have the Parks Board actually take a hard look at, the funding in Park and Rec and see where else it would need to come from.
So my question is then are they able to have that meeting and give that to us?
With respect.
Not a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
With the budget as is, with the 94,000 shortfall, let me go back to my cover sheet. Most of the shortfall is in the general fund operating budget. The parks is $5,000 short overall, $4,932. The shortfalls in the overall budget at 94,000 are primarily in the general fund, not in the parks fund. And once we finish working through the workers' comp, I have about $30,000 in workers' comp that's going to come out of this budget based on our usage factor. As we work through, I am confident that we can balance the budget, but again, primarily, there's only 4,900 that's out of balance currently in the parks.
I understand that's only out of parks, but then we're asking it to take out of general fund or other departments, and that's where I'm saying if people are saying that this is used by a majority of our community, then we have to cut something else. What would you recommend we cut? But that's what's being asked of us.
Yes, come on up, please.
Because my comment to you is you had the comment today that we've made no plans, that we have had no discussions. I've had multiple discussions with you, and your response to me is that's not something you're interested in. So to come up here and say that we haven't had those discussions or we haven't.
Two discussions, and they weren't actual sit down, let's seriously discuss. There were comments to each other.
I sat down with you and had a
Okay.
30-minute
Just-
conversation.
May I address?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Patty Amy out again, 741 Groveland Avenue. Jeff, you had said that workman's comp, like you just repeated again, that there would be a possibility of adjusting there to decrease that shortfall,
About 30,000.
about 30,000. Okay. One of the things we're not looking at is the pool usage has been down because it's not open. We don't have it open, we don't have a serious year's worth of events and things planned. Because it's open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. So we wanna have that chance to plan events. One such one, Joe Shizano says it all the time, they used to have a nighttime couples swim thing. And they met many different people in the community, and they had a big group going. We've had ideas for kids and special parties at special times of the year. Kids having their birthday parties there, and using that little bit of outdoor space we have so that they can bring in their picnic food for out there. Right now, we're all looking at it, it's winter, it's the middle of winter. We have only 6 to 10 a.m. open. So if you're a lap swimmer or an exercise swimmer, that's all you get, except for open swim on Saturday, which isn't as well publicized as it should. There's no evening swim. We had in the works, there was going to be a gal that was going to do an evening yoga exercise thing in the pool for the people that can't come out early in the morning. And so the revenues that could be raised haven't had a chance to happen because we need it to stay. Or Amanda or whoever's running it needs to be able to say, okay, we're gonna be open here and there. And
So not a question for you, but a question for Jeff and maybe Parks. If we do go with the budget to keep the pool open, what will the hours of operation be and how? What is that gonna look like in 2025?
Jake? Well, and while Jake is coming forward, I appreciate the input and I appreciate the thought.
Thank you.
But just only playing a little devil's advocate, when I'm coming up with the numbers that we come up with for the revenues for the budget, I'm trending over the last 3 years. I don't know 3 years ago how much the pool was open, how much it was closed. I'm looking at 2022, not counting the school's contribution, it was $33,000 with all of the fees, with the aqua aerobics, open swim, membership fees, private lesson swim, with all of those fees. The actual number in 2022 was $34,349. In 2023, it was $28,328. In 2024, it was budgeted at $31,500. It appears that it was budgeted as a middle of the road number of those two numbers. I understand that last year, it was closed a significant portion of time. I have the budget numbers. I do not know where we may be currently on the revenues, but I would anticipate with it being closed, probably not quite where it is. I understand that if it is open, then it will make more money because it will get used more often. I'm looking at the trends of the actual numbers that are coming through, and I can, from an accounting standpoint, from a budgeting standpoint, from an administrative standpoint, I need, in order to budget a significant amount higher, I would need to be able to identify what is different now versus then. And the question that I would have to ask, do I expect fewer mechanical or maintenance issues next year which will not impact operations in order to be open more? The times that we were closed in previous years were because of mechanical failures, issues, and items from my understanding. And if that is the case, why would I believe that we will have fewer mechanical issues next year than we have in each of the previous three?
Because you have Fit and Fit helping out with that financing. And you have the majority of the city that have responded to all of you with emails and our,
I understand,
Yeah.
again, playing devil's advocate.
right. But for that
I can have
amount-
every resident in the city send me an email in support of the pool, but that doesn't change whether or not a pump is going to fail.
Right, but if it does fail, we deal with it as it happens. If you have to close it for a little while, you do, but once you get rid of this pool, we have nothing. And that's the point. You guys, this budget problem is gonna keep going on, and it's not gonna be fixed in 1 year or 2 years, or maybe even 3. But you said you're on the right path with this Ellers Corporation, whatever they're doing to help.
They're not gonna get us
Business
more,
finance
they're not gonna
plan.
get us more money.
Right, right. But that amount of money, we have to look harder and get a little bit more creative to find that, because that is just too small a number to throw the baby out with
So
the
what
bathwater here.
probably Ellers is gonna come in and do, because they're just gonna look at everything as a whole, they're gonna say, look at your pool. This is such a drain on your financial, their advice is gonna be to us, is probably what we're already talking about.
Actually, their business, as a business plan, they're gonna try to say, how do we fix, how do we afford, how do we make these things happen? That's what their business plan will be about. I think the other thing to consider here is that there was, I would say, some poor management of the pool in the past year and a half. I think that Patty would say that people weren't showing up to open the pool like they should have. So I think in defense of the pool, I think we also need to talk about the management. I think it's significantly changed and has been a lot better run than it has in the past. So just.
Yeah, I'd like to, Jake, he was coming up to see what the the operations are gonna be like, what's it look like in 2025 for the
Patty.
operations?
Your 5 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Well, I foresee our operations the same as 6 to 10, because we have a lot of ladies from Fit and Fit and out of the community that come there. We do, right now, we are offering swim lessons, so that's why we haven't been open for open swim in the evenings the last 6 weeks, is because we've been offering swim lessons. So, Saturdays, and we're open, about 4 hours for open swim, and then Sundays we're closed. So I foresee the same, if not more hours, or maybe we open up on a swim on a Friday or in the afternoon. Hours change because of school, right? So when the kids are in school, we're not open. When the kids are out of school in the summertime, in the spring, fall, or before they go back to school, I believe we're open a lot more. Am I correct, Amanda, on that?
Right.
So,
If we were to be open more, would you feel we would need to have a full-time employee?
yes,
And then what would that budget cost us?
that budget is in your budget right now.
For
with
a
the pool-
full-time employee?
For a full-time pool operator.
Why aren't we open Sundays?
We give our staff a break. We have less staff now than we've had,
So
If it's only open a few hours a day.
is there any way that we can have a non-staff member in there, like somebody from the Fin and Fit operating? Is that, I mean, just to get it open and,
we still need lifeguards, so we do need staff for Sundays.
Can Amanda, are you now certified to, train lifeguards too? Correct, I'm a lifeguard instructor. Okay. And so there's possibility of like actually training more people too?
I mean, is there anybody from the Fin and Fit that could be a lifeguard?
I've been a lifeguard.
So I mean, that's, it. So if we had that, is what I'm asking, is if we had that from this group, would that meet the requirements that you need to have it open without staff maybe being there?
It all depends on many, I mean, you have a ratio of kids that you can have to one lifeguard. So if we get 50 kids in there on a Sunday afternoon, and we only got one lifeguard, we can't do that.
So let me ask a quick, is it I mean, we have all these boards for everything else, it seems like. Is it possible to have a pool committee that the Parks and Rec director sits on, and they answer a lot of these questions and figure out how to operate the day-to-day thing, which makes sense? Is that something we can do?
I will tell you that that's not a crazy model, and I know that there's other cities, I think Rochester's a perfect example, where their actual swim team is really the ones who do a lot of like the day-to-day like lifeguarding and things like that. And so I think that's something to consider, especially for those people who are invested in
So I think we need to look outside the box, instead of just trying to staff this with city personnel. Obviously, they need their some time off, but we have a passionate group. Is there any way we can get them to do some of the stuff that you probably hire somebody, they'll probably volunteer it, and just get them to make sure we have the required lifeguards and just visit with them to make sure, and somebody could, because since it's a benefit to them, they'll be somebody at the door taking the money, taking the transactions. I mean, then that would help alleviate some of the pressure that you have for your staff to do that. Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah, that is totally, they do need to be lifeguard certified though.
Yeah.
And that costs.
With respect, I think we're traveling away to.
No, we're not, because we're trying to talk, we're trying to keep, if we're gonna budget this for 2025, we then need to figure out how we're going to do it. Because I don't wanna just say budget it and then we're still gonna be 8 to 10, and then nothing's gonna change. So we have to talk about the second part of the conversation. Okay, we're gonna budget it for 2025. The second part of the same conversation has to be, what are we gonna do to enhance people going there?
Yeah, and operating.
Yeah, maintain and sustain, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking to for the group that's here. Maybe they can sit down and come up with some ideas of how to get it open longer on days where you can't staff it. That's, and then maybe getting a committee that that they sit down, I mean, they're raising money right now, they could probably get a 501c3 going and they already got it, and then why can't we just run with that and just, I mean, it can't hurt.
I believe that currently we have 83,600 in regular salaries budgeted, plus an additional 28,500 roughly in temporary salaries. I believe we do have adequate funding in place so that we can staff 4 full hours
But not on
of
Sundays.
operation. Jake and I can work with staff and work out work schedules that would coincide with
Can we
school
also,
availability.
can we also work with the club?
And we can obviously, we can work with groups to augment staff.
I mean, I mean, a few of them seem like they wanna be, lifeguards, and they already probably are, and I think that, and all that types of stuff helps keep the pool open. So that's the only thing I'm saying is if we're gonna do this, let's do it. Let's not just limp along for a year.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can actually get out of this thing, so maybe we can even increase the revenue a little bit more.
But I mean, also just for like insurance purposes, if we have no one on staff that's there and we're giving out keys to other people and they're handling payments and doing things like that,
I think
we would
there's-
need to have
yeah.
somebody.
There needs to be
Obviously,
some
we
type
gotta
of
look at the
liability.
legalities of all
Yeah.
of that, but I mean,
Logistically, yeah.
If they're gonna volunteer, they have to fill out paperwork for that through the city.
great, I have a sense that they'll fill out whatever paperwork is needed.
Correct. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
liability insurances, they do have to fill out paperwork through the city
Okay.
with HR.
Perfect. I think, I feel very much along the lines with you, Delane, on this, that I think that obviously we have a lot of people in this town that have some real ownership of the pool, and I think that I don't think it hurts to have those who are really passionate about this also be the ones that kind of like help kind of guide the opportunities that the pool can have, right? And I know I've talked to Amanda, I've talked to some of the benefit people that, like, I think there's so much more that can be done with the pool that it hasn't been. And I don't think that it's because people aren't interested, it's just we haven't had the opportunities to provide some of those events and things. And I feel like the pool's kind of been like a second thought for a lot of times, and I think that if we're able, and I think that's initially what we thought we were gonna do when we hired that first pool, person, is that they were gonna bring in all these new activities and all this, and that just did not materialize. But I think that was initially what the council really wanted, was somebody that was gonna go in there and like provide all these cool things where, they do like the couple swim at night, or I know that they talked about doing like playing Jaws and having people like floating around and watching the movie. There's a lot of like things, but that just never happened with that director. I think if you have a group like this that's really invested in being part of this and really wanting to bring those things to Crookston, and I think that we have enough of our community that really has said, we want this, and maybe we would have more of those individuals who maybe have signed the document but haven't been to the pool to actually come, because there's now events that like they're interested or their kids are interested in. I think for me, and I think for a lot of moms who have younger kids too, like there is not a lot to do in this town. And I will tell you, I drive a lot of times to Grand Forks because of that in the winter time, because it's just, there isn't, right? And like, that's not to say that we're not already in hockey and figure skating and taekwondo and all the things here, but there just also isn't a lot of opportunities for them to go swimming here too. And I take them probably 2 or 3 nights to swim. And so, I mean, I just think that I'm not the only one. And if ultimately at the end of the day, we're wanting Crookston to be a place where families want to come and be, that we're going to have to provide some of these amenities. And yes, not everything that we have is gonna equal out for a revenue that's gonna pay for itself. But not everything a city does isn't business related. It's sometimes we're providing amenities because people are coming to our town and living here because we have amenities available.
I agree with Delane and Christie on this. I've thought over and over on this thing, and my thought is, if the pool is gone, it's gone forever.
Well, I would like to make a comment to that, because Carrie actually did host a meeting. It was an hour long. I was there. It was to have a discussion. She invited everyone from Fin to Fit to come, to have a discussion to start a group, to have those discussions of moving forward. How could we have this? She wanted that momentum from them. The discussion there was, we don't want to discuss this. It's not something we're interested in. So I
I
just.
don't recall that meeting that way.
Okay.
You guys attacked us.
I sat there very quietly and I told
No,
you I
you
was.
attacked me in that meeting.
Okay.
And so did Shirley Steadman, and it was very obvious
Let's not get into
that
that.
I'm not gonna get into an argument.
I won't either,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Point of order.
Okay.
Point of order, all comments are to the chair and to the issue.
Yeah. What arguments?
Right, thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
You were asking about the numbers for the
Yeah.
pool? So I just did quick math. We were closed, I believe it was 2 months this year. I think we were closed January. I'm not entirely certain on that one because I wasn't here at that time. And then we were closed with the fire panel, middle of September to middle of October, but I just averaged it over the months. We averaged about 330 people per month, not counting memberships or lessons or private parties and stuff like that. Memberships would be about 28 a month, which would, most people come 3 to 5 days a week. And then we had 185 kids that were in lessons, and that was only over 3 months. So,
And to me, I feel that's pretty significant, especially for the swim lessons. And I think that that shouldn't be overlooked.
and we've had tremendous feedback from the lessons that they've been really, really good. And a lot of people re-sign up, because they just really love them. So I think that's, can grow. Yeah, so that was my numbers for that. I think that, I know we were looking at the future and things like that, just because it is a city pool. I think that my job as the lifeguard supervisor has been a little bit tied, just in the fact, like, you know, with the pricing, my hands have been tied where I can't do memberships for families, or, you know, I can't make adjustments as needed or as I saw fit throughout the year. I have to wait until the spring budget to do those sort of things. And I think that would make a big difference when it comes to the pool and moving forward. And, you know, normal pools or whatever can make those things, you know, when they feel like they need to. And then I also wanted to mention area pools, the Y in Grand Forks, the people who used to run the pool in Monoman, Ada, they have all made comments about our pool, and they just think it's insane that it was even a consideration for us. You know, they've all been to our pool and they've seen it recently, and they think it's in fine shape. We've had so many updates. I think that considering all of the updates, that the outlook is very good. There's been a lot of things that have been fixed in the last 5 years, and I think it would be remiss not to mention them. You know, we have the new hot water heater, new water softener, we have the new actuators upstairs, we have the new, I always forget what that part is.
Motherboard.
Panel. Well, we have the fire panel, what's that part that's downstairs? For the water thing, I call it an actuator, but it's, well, we have
Well, it is an
that other big part that's downstairs.
You
You know, all the new showers, the filters for the sand have been redone. We have the new floor scrubber, the cameras, the computers, the front desk, you know, all of those things. The vacuum scrubber, all of the training that you guys have invested in me over the last year. I have my WSI, lifeguard instructor trainer, all of those things. So I feel like those are all important to remember.
I think two things just to kind of add to that. One is Amanda was referring to the fees, and our fee schedule, I think, needs to be reevaluated for the pool. I think there's some opportunity there for like family memberships and things like that, which would maybe provide the more opportunity to utilize the pool. I think the other piece too is, you know, Heslop at UND is also going down, which was another one of the pools that actually provided a lot of swim lessons. And so that is also going down this year as well. So I think, you know, and I've talked to Jake about this, and I don't know where you ever ended up with it, but did you guys talk to the swim teams that were utilizing UND's pool to see if they would want to use our pool?
The Wahoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reached out to me, and That was last year, he reached out to me.
Yep, because it was coming down this year.
Huh?
Did you guys ever reach out to them to see?
He reached out to me.
Oh, okay,
And we've emailed back and forth and it didn't pan out for them, is
okay.
what happened, so. But it doesn't go to say if we keep the pool open that we can't be reaching out again, so.
Also to other communities too, you know, for Climax or Fisher or Furlough or the surrounding area, you know, that's offered, I think would benefit it, you know, deal with them. And then I've received emails and talked to people, and a lot of it comes down to, if they get to the pool, is closed or
I think
shut down.
hours, yeah, for sure.
And that's, I myself have a couple times gone to take my grandson to it, and it's closed.
And we have
And I
been
just said, the heck with it,
consistently
I could mess
open.
around with it,
Yeah.
it's always closed.
Well, and I think that's the difference, is since the kind of change in management is that it's been a lot more consistent, and I know
Right,
that.
I'm talking.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
The
yeah.
ladies' time is expired.
We've been open the entire time, like, we haven't closed a single day until the fire happened. And so I think that's pretty significant and has been really good for the pool.
We could be, not cut you off, your time is up, your 5 minutes. Guess we could hash this all
We have
night.
another speaker, I know.
Oh, Matt, come on up, please.
I have a speech all prepared here. But I wanna say thank you to the Fin and Fit. I think Crookston is really lucky to have such a great organization, fighting for us. Even if they're not in the same demographics, whatever. Mostly what my speech is about, I have it written here, and it sounds like we have some folks on the fence, and that's great. But the rest of you, this is my speech. Members of this Crookston City Council, it seems the Christmas spirit has completely bypassed some of you this year. While families across Crookston are hanging lights and singing carols, the council is playing the Grinch. Determined to steal the joy of swimming from our children by closing their beloved community pool. Have you forgotten what it's like to be a kid? Spend those long, hot summer days dreaming of splashing in cool water, making new friends. Unadulterated fun that's only a community pool can provide. This isn't just about swimming, it's about giving our kids a safe and healthy place to spend their summer days, their winter days, their fall days, all their days. It's about building community, fostering friendships, and creating memories that will last a lifetime. It's about those joyful squeals of laughter that echo across the pool, the proud smiles of kids learning to swim, the sense of belonging that comes from sharing this space with your friends and neighbors. But you, with your spreadsheets and budgets cuts, seem determined to extinguish that joy. And maybe that's a little over the top. But I think you guys have heard this message. You're prioritizing numbers over the needs of our children, turning a blind eye to the invaluable benefits this pool provides. Are you really so out of touch with the families of Crookston that you can't hear their pleas? Have you forgotten who you serve? You are my public servants. From the mayor to his lawyer to all those guys back there, and people. We are your bosses, and two of you ran unopposed. And that's fine. But it shows that people are out of touch with this government. Yeah, people have issues with the taxes. Oh, go talk to the county. How many of those members ran unopposed? This is a Northwest Minnesota issue. We're dying. We cannot save this town by shutting things down. We cannot fall asleep at the wheel. We elected you to represent our interests. not to act as Scrooge, hoarding resources while our children's happiness hangs in the balance. I urge you, members of the council, to reconsider this heartless decision. Don't be the Grinches who stole childhoods. Find a way to keep our pool open and let the joyous spirit of childhood thrive in Crookston. We deserve to have a wonderful community. We can take pride in our pool. We can take pride in our old buildings. We can take pride in all these things. We can take pride in our school buses. We can take pride in all these little things that make up a community. We can do a sales tax, okay? Maybe it won't apply next year, but it will apply at some point. Maybe we can bond to take care of the $1.2 million. What, should we just do nothing? It's like saying, oh, honey, we have this budget deficit, so let's, maybe next month, if we spend less money, you know, on shoes or something, well, that will affect us next month, so let's not do it. We need to fix it now, and then we can move up from there. But to just unilaterally close the pool, I believe is unacceptable. So please reconsider those who are sitting on the fence about closing the pool, please.
I'm gonna take off my reporter hat. And I'm gonna probably lose some friends here tonight. But if 27% is based on having the pool, I kinda wanna talk for people like my mom, widow living off of Social Security, who this is gonna hurt, having our taxes raised because of the pool. I myself love the pool. I was on the swim team. I moved here back home, it's my hometown, 3 years ago. And I don't have a great heart. And swimming was something that was gonna help me. My dad was pushing me to swim. So I got up, middle of winter, 6 o'clock in the morning, dad and mom have the kid. And I get all my stuff together and go to the pool 3 times in a row, and it was closed. I guess I just don't know that that's gonna change.
Is that recent, can I ask?
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and again, we've had a significant change in consistency.
And that's great. And it's more the consistency of failures, mechanical failures. So I just putting my 2 cents in. I love the pool, I love swimming. I guess I would rather hope to see 5, 6 years from now, something new come. And I think that would be amazing, more of a community center, a pool. We've talked about daycares, we've talked about other indoor playgrounds, things that will, over the winter, have more things for kids in town. For kids, for families, for older people, it doesn't matter, for everybody. But that's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Trish Erdman, and I'm an employee of the pool, and I have been there since the day it opened in 1979. And I have had the wonderful opportunity to teach many people there, and ranging from the ages of infants to 92-year-olds. It's been a great experience, and we've been so fortunate to have this pool in our community. It's saved a lot of lives. I'd like to ask, how many in here know how to swim? Raise your hand if you know how to swim. Those of you who don't, you're the reason we need this pool, because your life is important, as well as many other people who do not know how to swim. I've had people come in there who walked out on the deck and say, well, that's enough water for me, I'm going back. Because that's how afraid they are of the water. What a terrible fearful thing to be feeling. And as a parent of a young child, I think that is probably the biggest fear that you have, is that my child could drown if I am not watching them 24/7 because they don't know how to swim. It's a heart attack waiting to happen. And speaking of heart attacks, I have a lot of individuals, heart attack survivors in my class. I have people there rehabbing from shoulder surgeries, knee surgeries, hip surgeries, back surgeries, neck surgeries, cancer survivors, stroke survivors, and they're there. And they are thriving to continue to pay their tax dollars. And without the pool, their livelihood will significantly decrease because they cannot do anything else. They can't walk on concrete anymore because of their knees. They can't, walk very well. They come with their walkers, they get in the pool, and it's very functional and keeps them functioning, recovering from loss of loved ones, engaging back into life. And throughout the years, we've had all the school FIA classes coming through there on a daily basis. It was built up at the center of Crookston, above Central Park, prime location. You had McKinley, you had Eugene Field, you had Lincoln, you had Washington, and it was right across from Central High School. And they walked over there every day for their Phi Ed classes. A great place to be, and utilized all throughout the day. And I feel if we're consistent enough, we can have the school classes, the Phi Ed classes, come in there and learn how to swim, because sometimes that's the only time they get the opportunity to learn how to swim. During the COVID years, when we got back open, because of the lack of the being open, it really impacted the kids. 40% of the grade, fourth grade, didn't know how to swim. And you could see that impact, but the 10 days that they were there, they just thrived and improved so much. It really makes a difference in their lives. And it's a less expensive activity to do, as far as reaching more people and keeping kids active and safe. It's just a wonderful facility, and I really feel like Christy had said, we have missed a lot of opportunities due to the inconsistency of the pool being open. Consistency is our best friend, and because of the inconsistency, we have lost staff, because those staff need to have employment. And it provides jobs for the high school students, it provides jobs for the college students, and there's not a lot of opportunity to have that flexibility in your schedule, but they can work it in with their schedule to come and work at the pool. It's great to have them there. And I also feel like we could incorporate more curriculum within the school system, providing maybe an elective. Amanda and I have run over ideas as to incorporate new curriculum through the school and for the DAC, and to sensory classes for those who have special needs. I've worked with children with special needs, have my adapted aquatics, my WSI, and it's a very important part. We have people coming from the communities, surrounding communities, and they won't be coming here if the pool closes, and we will be missing out on all of their dollars. And I know that people will be moving if the pool closes.
With respect, the lady's time has expired.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
I'm back. Paul Gregg, I haven't changed my name, I haven't changed my address, 108 Elf Terrace. I don't know, you stole my thunder. I mean, you did everything beautifully. And you people still watching at home. Yeah, we're still here. Sorry to keep you here so late, people, but I guess I watch normally at home, and I saw a remark Tim made a couple meetings back. I just want to emphasize or restate what he said about was the all-inclusive playground at Highland. He said Crookston comes through, and Crookston will come through for you. And I understand, Jeff, you did an excellent job, and I got to commend you on the job you did with when you compared Crookston to East Grand Forks, how well this council is doing with less money, keeping as many parks and sheets of ice. And I don't want to do a battle between sports center, you know, tennis courts, new pickleball courts or whatever. But Crookston, our community, and I've been here through grade school, high school, college, whatever, this town does rally around a cause. So let Fin and Fit come through for you as much as we can. I understand you're working with a limited budget. Please don't write it off. I understand some of you maybe had your minds made up. My alderman, Henry, vote yes. Respect your elders. But yes, no, please, we will do everything we can. I know I've talked to a number of people who are willing to donate towards this cause, but not for the operating budget, but to have a safety net for things that could break down. And I'm not guaranteeing an amount, but I know lots of people that would contribute towards a cause. And I know you had mentioned different classes, and if there was open more often, that you would have more people there. I talked to some people who said they used to have fitness classes at night in the pool. Yeah. And retired old guy like
Point of order, sir. Point of order, sir. Please, all comments to the chair.
Oh, you guys just listen. I would like for you to listen to everything I've just said, and you too. What was I saying? Something about the night fitness for people who can't come there during the Wednesday. I mean, the pools shouldn't just be open for us old retired people. And by the way, cameras does put extra 5 pounds on, maybe 20. I'm not a poster child for the pool, but I do enjoy the pool. I go there. I'm probably a new guy. I've been there less than a year, but I go there 3-4 mornings a week. And it sure helps for anybody, and all those reasons that Trish made about the people that have to use a pool versus exercising on hard cement or, you know, the pool just naturally, as I'm gonna state the obvious, it helps you. I call it not exercise, but stretchercise. I mean, you don't get injured when you go to the pool. It helps, everybody knows pool, physical therapists, everybody will say the pool is great therapy for you. So I don't have to be an advocate for how good the pool is. And I've said enough, but basically I just wanted to say, count on Crookston to help the pool. And I'm willing to go with the 27%, 20 versus the 20. If it's only $90 a year versus on that scenario you had, but you know, on average, more than what your taxes would be otherwise. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, as council, where we at?
Well, like I said earlier, I think I'm in support of doing the budget with the pool. I feel we're gonna be at this conversation when we can no longer support the pool in the middle of the year, when we run out of money. You know, and it sucks, but I challenge anybody out there to come and sit here and try to keep the city of Crookston going. We're all doing the best thing we can for our city. And it's tough. It's a tough thing to do, and we have to keep the doors open, and so that's where we're at. So, but right now, I'm in support of doing the budget for keeping the pool for 2025, so.
I am too.
I am too, and I have an idea, and it's sort of a vision that we can kind of hold in place about establishing at some point when we have the fiscal health, have a capital project fund that's dedicated to the pool. The city of Thief River I just looked it up, they currently have $290,000 in that capital fund that, I'm sure wasn't generated overnight, but it's something that we could consider as a vision for maintaining and sustaining this very important resource in our community. So I am for the budget that would include funding the operations of the pool.
I think it's gonna be pretty critical if we do go forward with this, with actually like following through and having a committee for the pool. And having like people who are taking some ownership about making sure that we're, doing what we need. Getting the events and the classes that people have. And I'd also like to consider and challenge, Jake in this, and not just only reevaluating what the fee schedules looks like, but I know that Trish had sent me something too about different larger corporations in their town that would pay some type of like overall fee for their employees to go to the pool. And so I do wonder if, there are some other creative ways we can generate that funding to support and keep this amenity in our town.
I guess for me, I can only support a budget that's balanced. So unless we can figure out how to balance the budget, that is where I stand. Because right now with the pool, it's not balanced. So we would need to figure that out before I can support that.
If I may, to the members of the council, either with or without the pool, my confidence is high that at the next meeting, the budgets will be balanced. Regardless of the direction, pool or no pool, we have the capability of balancing the operating budget.
I guess I would wanna know what's being cut then.
Yeah, I think,
Around the table.
is that something we can do to find out where that money came from?
I can tell you that out of the 94,000 that we're short, 30,000 will be coming from workers' comp. And I have another based on information and agreements that we've had over the last week and a half, consensus and agreements. I have another $50,000 that will be able to be gleaned from various places. So I am confident.
Where would that be coming from?
That's what we're gonna need to know by next meeting.
That's what I'm saying, is I don't want other departments or the general fund to be depleted. That is what I'm saying. So I feel like if that's it, it has to come from the Parks Department.
I have line items that were, or during the drafting of the budget, that were purposefully left high until we had final numbers. One of which, or some of which, are the union negotiations. We now have agreement on the 2 union negotiations, and I still have to crunch the numbers, but I am very confident that with our agreements with the 2 unions, that I will have, between the unions and workers' comp, I will have the ability.
And that would be money that would be going back into our if we didn't, that'd be money that would be going back into the general fund to help build that balance up to where it needs to be, correct?
That could be used, those funds could be used for whatever the council directs. So those funds can be transferred. Right now, the balance between parks and general fund was only done, it's not a set figure. The numbers were divided based on the budgets that we had in place. So as I divide the tax levy between parks and general fund, again, as I've mentioned before, in most municipal organizations, parks is part of the general fund. According to the state chart of accounts, parks is part of the general fund. So when we identify parks versus the general fund, that's not really a full comparison, because at some point in the past, someone with the city of Crookston said, I want to track parks, and they separated it, which is not a normal accounting process. because parks normally is in the general fund.
So is that something that
I
we
will
would
vote
need to?
yes on this, because of the fact that, with, pool and also a balanced budget.
Is that something we have to make a resolution for to make that all one thing? Or, I mean, is there any recommendations whether we just keep those separate?
I can provide a balanced budget to the council at the next meeting.
But like in the future, instead
talking
of
about
being
the
like the
parks and
general
general?
and parks, like is that something that,
That would be something that the council would need to have a resolution on to transition that back to, the state chart. It's not, I would not identify that as an urgent need, just an awareness that that is normally part of the general fund. Right now, until we have our financial foundation in order, it actually ironically provides us some level of benefit by having it in a separate fund, because that does reduce that 45% by our cash policy. It is a little bit of accounting smoke and mirrors, but not really.
Okay.
It's kind of his gray area.
If we can get these people on the audience to get busy and help us, that would be a good issue to visit with. How can we get the city involved to help us? Because we're just a council and we need help.
So the consensus is,
Still got two that haven't answered.
well, I think consensus across the board, 27.45 with the pool and a balanced budget.
Yes. Right.
Let's do the fit and fit 5%.
Yeah.
Everybody on board with that?
yeah?
Yes, I am.
Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.